Okay, so now we've looked at kind of the first phase of leads, and now we're going to jump into the second phase, if you will, 2001 and beyond. I've put together a comparison here of what things looked like in 2002 versus what they look like now, because I really want to highlight that the first 7 years of leads from 1994 to 2001, it was great. A lot of work was done and accomplished, but we didn't stop there. We kept going. We continued to renew the strategic plan. We continued to look at new options, but stuck to that core belief that we had to work together and maintain those relationships. So, quick picture of the number of users on our system in 2002 was 1,100. That mostly was law enforcement officers and just the larger agencies in the area. We had about 33 different line of business applications. Several were desktop-based, but also we're beginning to introduce the web-based line of business applications. This is my favorite one. None of the police reports were being viewed electronically in 2002. That's kind of a lie. They were, but we were in beta of our new RMS, and we hadn't yet begun to track how many people were actually viewing the reports electronically. It wasn't until about 2003 that we fully implemented the electronic viewing, and we also started introducing distributions to the courts, which really ramped up the ability for us to stop printing out paper. And in 2002, we had 19 FTE on staff in just the technology team. Okay, so let's fast forward 2013. We'll go back to the number of end users. So now today, instead of 1,100, we're up to about 1,800 end users. This is because we've brought on several more agencies into the partnership. We have also added several courts and prosecutors' offices that can get to our systems directly, and the law enforcement agencies have made agreements and MOUs with the different prosecutors' offices so that we can easily share the information. We are about 104 line of business applications. We continue to develop new web-based applications. We still have a couple vendor products that we rely on quite heavily. There's nothing wrong with those. We just are more favorable to the ones that we can build. And then, again, my favorite, the electronic police reports. Each year now, there are 1.3 million reports viewed electronically. And I don't know that you can really translate that to a pure cost savings of paper, because I think what would happen prior to us viewing them on the computer, we may just share the document, or we just didn't even look at the information because it wasn't easily available. But now that that information is available and people trust the security, people trust the different agencies, we're logging 1.3 million views each year of police reports. And all this done, a lot of growth in the system, a lot of growth in the users, a lot of growth in the applications, and we've successfully been able to do this with relatively the same number of FTE. So, I talked earlier about the takeaway of cost savings. You would expect the support staff to grow, and it would be nice, don't get me wrong, to have a larger staff to support all of these and continue building applications, but the way the system is set up, the way it's designed, we're able to build things right the first time, stick with them, and we're not creating a lot of overhead at the same time. So I want to give you a couple ideas of projects that we've done that have saved money and things that the lead division has created. False alarm billing process. This is a hot topic. I don't know what it's like across the nation, but at least locally, the Sheriff's Department and the police departments can bill the alarm companies every time there's a false alarm. The problem is there were so many false alarms and no way to reconcile the alarms to the alarm companies that alarm companies just were not being billed. So we were able to build a system that would take the CAD calls, marry them up with the addresses of the alarm company clients, and then send a bill each month to the alarm companies. Well, funny enough, when the alarm companies started sending bills to their clients, the clients started to have fewer false alarms and made sure that they were not triggering their systems, and made sure they learned their system, how to turn it off when it was going on. And it resulted in an 80% reduction in false alarm calls each month. This, again, I talk about redeploying officers. That time savings of 80% reduction translated into approximately 1 FTE for the Sheriff's Department to redeploy somewhere else, so they weren't responding to false alarms. Another project, the ability for officers in the field to view civil domestic violence protection orders. Previously, this was not something that was available to a large audience within the law enforcement community. I believe we applied for a grant and received funding to do this. Pawn entry. So at least locally, we have a requirement that all pawn shops send transactions into us, and they log who they're selling the item to, take down a name and an address. Probably not truthful information, but either way, we collect that. And then we automatically import that into a database and check against the stolen property. It's kind of interesting to see that you can see a Rolex watch get pawned, and then all of a sudden you get a hit on that stolen Rolex watch because there's a serial number, and we're able to call the outside jurisdiction that it came from, and they can recover that property. Electronic collision reporting. This has been there's been a big push in the last 5-6 years to get electronic collision reporting up and going, especially in Washington State. Because we had in-house expertise, we were able to modify our existing RMS and the field-based reporting module so that officers can do a police report and a collision report simultaneously and not have to do dual entry. It's a huge time savings, and it allows them to stay in the same environment and not have to learn a new system. Automated felony disposition data entry. Again, our relationship with the court and all the courts is really good. They have technology staff. We can integrate with them and learn how to make the system smarter. We had a huge backlog on felony disposition data entry. And by automating that and reaching into the court database, pulling the data into our own RMS, we were able to just significantly impact the ability to stay up to date with that information. Another great number here, electronic distribution of attachments. So, we've got our standard reports, and then we've got a whole host. Maybe there's a victim statement. Maybe there's a stolen property list with serial numbers from the victim. A lot of different types of data can come in from a case. And instead of us having to print those out each year and distribute them by hard copy, we are sending those electronically via PDF to the different court systems so the prosecutors can have access to them. It translates to about 52,000 pages a year.